What's Stallone doing in there?
He's collecting a paycheck, apparently.
Yeah.
You're listening to the all-new CultureCast, Chicagoland's finest podcast.
Welcome to the newest edition of the all-new CultureCast. I am your host, the Gorehound, and with me is the all-new, updated, and married...
Nick!
Hey, Nick, how are you?
I'm married, that's how I am.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Only a few days in, that's awesome.
Yeah, less than a week as of this recording. For those of you who actually follow us, which I don't know anyone who actually follows us, but...
hopefully we increased our viewership by a few points.
I know.
Within the past 2 weeks.
I know, right?
All the people we've been talking to.
We haven't had an episode the past couple of weeks because of wedding stuff on my end, which the Gorehound was a groomsman. During our wedding time, we talked to some people, met some people who actually do podcasts and whatnot. So we're going to try to up our game with people who actually know what they're doing, and we'll see if where that goes. So
yeah, I want to throw a shout out to I believe it was Thor's Hour of Thunder or Thor's Thunder Hour. I forgot the guy's name, but it was
Dan.
Dan. And I listened to 2 of their podcasts. I just picked 2 at random, and it was awesome. Fantastic. So if you're listening, nice job.
If you're listening, why? But we thank you.
Yeah.
No, Dan's an awesome guy. I've only met him a few short times, and this is a guy, you could tell he loves life. He's just, always happy. He has the biggest laugh in the room, and... He
did.
This guy just absolutely loves life. He's the new-ish, I guess. I don't know, not new, but boyfriend of a friend of my now bride named Jennifer, who we're going to try to get on the show here in a couple of weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be to be our first official guest.
I know, that would be very exciting.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's not get too excited here because we may not. Things don't always go as planned around these parts, but
yeah.
That's okay. So
this week we are going to be talking about Star Trek.
Yay!
In general and kind of in particular. I don't know anything about Star Trek except for the past.
Except that it's awesome.
I am really enjoying it. I mean, I don't think I could ever be a Trekkie, but I could definitely appreciate it and respect it. My experience with this is that I saw one Star Trek in theaters, when I was 10 years old with my parents or something.
Which one?
I have no idea. And I know that as soon as I watch it, I'm going to recognize it because there were so many, it was a very dark environment and there was an alien, but there are aliens in every.
I was going to say, you're not limiting it.
So, I know it had Patrick Stewart in it, and it had a green cover, but that's about it. But I know that...
Was it Star Trek Nemesis? It sounds like you're describing Star Trek Nemesis. Did, the bad guys look like vampires? Like alien vampires, if you remember?
I'm going to check out some screenshots and see. Was Spock weird in that one?
Spock was not in that one. Spock was not in any movie with Patrick Stewart.
I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I'll watch Nemesis and see if it rings a bell. But, as I was saying, that one is the only one that I've ever seen besides what I've watched in the past 3 days, and I've been binging these past 3 days.
You've been crash coursing yourself in Star Trek, which I was really, really surprised. I was actually surprised because we recently saw Star Trek Beyond, the newest installment of the Star Trek movie series, and when I mentioned it, you were really excited to see it, which surprised me because I was not expecting that from you.
Yeah, it's very good. I think I just picked out a random Star Trek, and I don't know the name of whatever ones I've been binging on, because I've honestly just picking at random. Well, the first one I picked because it had the shortest runtime, and so I went with that one, and it was really, really good. and I don't know why I wanted to watch the one in theaters, but it was awesome.
So, yeah, Star Trek's great. Star Trek it's so massive, and it's its 50th anniversary this year. So Star Trek's been around for 50 years, believe it or not.
The TV series.
Yeah, when it first started, yeah.
Okay.
So it started in 1966. September 8th, 1966. Its premiere date. It has had multiple incarnations over the years, including
So if you don't mind, I've got a few questions.
Okay.
That I would like for a Trekkie like yourself to clear up, and maybe for some other people who are in my same predicament.
Okay.
Explain how the relationship between Chris Pine and William Shatner.
I'll try to make this as brief as possible. You had the original Star Trek series that was with William Shatner. He was on the old TV show. He did the movies. And then Shatner's Kirk, actually, they killed him off in 1994 Star Trek Generations. So that was William Shatner Kirk. In 2009, the Star Trek series was kind of in a slump. There was no new TV show. People stopped caring about it, all that. But the Paramount, the movie studio, felt like we could still do something with this. So they rebooted Star Trek. They started over from scratch. And so they cast new people as the classic characters. So Chris Pine was cast as the new Captain Kirk. And he's obviously younger. So the idea is that Chris Pine is the quote-unquote younger version of William Shatner. But also, it's also kind of like a reboot, so kind of like how Christian Bale was playing Batman and Michael Keaton was playing Batman, but they were two different Batmans, but he was the same Batman, but it's just a reboot.
Okay.
Same sort of concept there. The only difference is, and this gets a little funky, is that even though the new movie series is a reboot, it has a connection back to the original Star Trek, because in the first rebooted movie, Leonard Nimoy played the old version of Spock, who came back in time, which caused the reboot to happen.
At which point does he go back in time?
What do you mean?
Leonard Nimoy goes back in time to become Zachary Quinto.
No. There's actually if you hadn't seen the movie, it's tough to understand or get your mind around. What happened is in the 2000.
Which movie are you talking?
We're
talking
talking
about in particular?
2009's Star Trek. It was just called Star Trek.
Okay.
In that movie, a bad guy from the future comes back in time. Old Mr. Spock follows him back. And because they came back in time, it causes a alternate reality, which is what the reboot movies take place in. So it's not like erasing the continuity of the old TV show or anything like that. It's kind of like parallel with it. So, spoilers for a 6-year-old movie or 7-year-old movie. Old Mr. Spock survives the events of the 2009 reboot. And so, in the new timeline of the reboot movies, there's young Mr. Spock, played by Zachary Quinto, and old Mr. Spock, played by Leonard Nimoy. So they exist at the same time.
Okay. I think I'm following. I'm following that it's very complicated.
You know, it's in the movie that it presents itself, it's really not. But if you're trying to just explain it, it gets
just try
really,
to grasp it out of thin air.
Yeah, they make it work in the movie because it does. They do it in a very good narrative way. But if you're just trying to me explain it to someone who has no clue of what any of it is, it's very could sound very convoluted.
Yeah. Okay.
Most Star Trek's really not that convoluted, honestly.
Okay. And all of these are based off of a book series, is that right?
No. None of them are based on book series. There are Star Trek books.
Well, this was originally...
This was a TV show.
Okay.
It started as a TV show.
I follow.
I can just imagine all the Star Trek fans right now listening to this and their hearts breaking with the things that you're saying. What?
Yeah.
He thought it was a book series? What?
Hey, man, First round, I am a Gorehound. Everything after that doesn't matter.
Fair enough. Although there are a shit ton of Star Trek books, most of which are awful, but they do have Star Trek tie-in novels, like that. Here's the adventures that happen between the movies or something.
Yeah. Because I guess I just kind of assume that because I don't know. I find that most like really great series are originally based off of a book, like Lord of the Rings and like every Philip K. Dick book. Second question, Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
Where does he come in?
Okay. So Star Trek was, the first series was 1966. They did the movies about 15 years later or so. And those movies were really popular. They made money. Mm-hmm. So Hollywood loves to chase the dollar sign. And they said, we need to put Star Trek back on TV. And how are we going to do that? So they decided to make the first spin-off, or technically speaking, it's considered a sequel series, because Patrick Stewart was in Star Trek The Next Generation, which took place 100 years after the adventures of Kirk and Spock. Okay. So 100 years later, we have this brand new Enterprise, USS Enterprise, brand new crew. Captain Picard was played by Patrick Stewart. He's the new captain, and that's where that all took place.
Okay, so that's like completely separate, same universe.
Same universe, just 100 years later.
Okay, I follow that.
Which is why it was a big deal in 1994 when the movie Star Trek Generations came out. Because not only was it the first movie with the Next Generation crew, but it also featured the first time Kirk and Picard met.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it wasn't a very good movie, but it has its charm.
What would you say total runtime? You would say that there's more TV episodes than there are movies.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Star Trek in general. Okay.
Yeah, there's got to be like close to 700 episodes of Star Trek over the 6 TV series that they have. So
okay,
yeah, which are all currently on Netflix.
No, all of them.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, maybe not the cartoon. I don't know about the cartoon, but all the series are on Netflix. Yeah, all the live action ones.
I don't know if I should jump onto that because I'm afraid I might not watch anything else for the next year.
You'll have plenty to watch. I'll give you that much.
Yeah, and I've actually been on an Aliens kick. I pulled out my Alien box set, and I've been going through that. And I've kind of had to put that on the wayside, and I thought I was going to just cruise right through all of them. But then I was like, Star Trek. I want to know more.
I'm so happy I seem to have converted another person.
Yeah.
Another person to the cause.
So, but let's talk about this one that we just watched.
Yes, the main topic for tonight is we're talking about quite possibly the greatest Star Trek movie ever made. Ever.
You being serious?
No, I'm being totally sarcastic.
Okay.
Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, came out in... I'll do a little plot summary here if you don't mind. Came out in
go ahead.
1989, and directed by William Shatner, who also had a hand in the story. In it, we see...
Oh, yeah, I saw that he wrote or directed it,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, he contributed to the story, and he directed the movie, yes.
Okay, good for him.
The crew of the Enterprise is hijacked by a renegade Vulcan, which turns out to be Mr. Spock's long-lost brother. And the Vulcan, named Sybok... Half-brother, yes. Named Sybok, wants to take the Enterprise to the center of the galaxy where he believes God lives. And hijinks ensue. This movie is... Well, let me ask you, what did you think of Star Trek V, The Final Frontier?
That beginning sequence I loved because that jumped him right into this. It kind of I don't know, I felt like it was telling me you don't have to be a Star Trek person to appreciate this. We're going to start this off on a good note because they were doing all that camping stuff and Spock was being Spock. That was good. And And it was actually a bit unfortunate because at the very end, Cybok gives that quote. He's like, "I couldn't help but notice your pain. Share it with me." That line, remember?
Oh yes, yes.
That's actually the intro to a Tupac Shakur song called "Pain." And I heard that, and I was like, "Wait, I know that." And it kind of like erased like the past 20 minutes because that was like the only thing on my mind after that. I was like, where did I hear that from? Because I didn't immediately recognize it as Tupac. I just knew that I heard that quote before, and I wasn't sure where it came from. And then it hit me, and then I was like, shoot, I can't remember anything that just happened in the past 20 minutes. But it's memorable because now I know what it goes to.
I have a feeling that the Star Trek came first before Tupac, but I wonder if Tupac was a Star Trek fan, and he.
I don't know. It does not seem like he would be a Star Trek fan, but maybe. I don't know.
Of all things in the songs to reference, but
yeah,
that's interesting. I don't care enough right now to look it up, but I'm curious to see if he was inspired by the movie.
Yeah, Tupac's song "Pain." Yeah, because that opens up the song. Where were we at?
So I was asking you what you thought of the movie.
Oh, yeah, it was. I enjoyed it. About the middle of it, I kind of got a little lost in the story and kind of bored. But then it seemed to picked up like between the 50 and the 70 to 80% mark of the movie. I was a little like, all right, let's pick this up a little bit.
Like when Cybok jumps on the Enterprise and he's talking to Kirk and Spock and they're having those visions.
Yeah.
That does kind of stop the movie dead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was just like, I don't know.
I guess we're trying to see like how he's able to brainwash people by like having them release their pain and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Because like up until then, we just saw it from the outsider perspective. We didn't actually see what he was doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, pretty much the entire movie, I could not figure out what his name was. I thought it was Psylocke, like the X-Men character. I was like, is it supposed to be like some sort of reference? And then I was thinking about, actually, it might have been the Thor's Hour of Thunder, where they were reviewing X-Men. Or, I don't know, I've been listening to so many podcasts. They were talking about Psylocke in the new one. How, like, her
played
psychic...
by Olivia Munn, a.k.a. Aaron Rodgers' girlfriend.
Oh.
Fun fact.
How like her swords aren't actually like metaphysical or whatever, and not really in accordance with the comics. So apparently my mind was distracted a lot during this.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't blame you. Star Trek V is known to be kind of the weakest of the original films, featuring the William Shatner in that cast. There's a lot of things that don't make sense in it. A lot of it was very cheaply made because when they were making the movie, there was a writer's strike, and so Hollywood only had so much they can do. They couldn't go to ILM to get their special effects done. They had to go to this other shittier company, and so the effects aren't as good. The writing isn't as crisp. The story is kind of a little wacky.
Yeah.
They tried to force a lot of humor in the story, and it just some of it works, some of it doesn't. But
the line where they're around the campfire and Spock is like, "But were we having a good time?" I thought that was just great, and that really kicked off the movie on a good foot.
And here's the thing: of all the original Star Trek movies, I feel that number 5. I know you're the newbie in this, so
yeah.
You might have to just, I don't know, take my word. But I feel that number 5 does the best job of capturing the relationship and friendship between the 3 main characters.
I did notice that
Better
they were
than
like very bonded.
yeah, like all the other movies, they're friends, they get along and everything, but it's it wasn't quite like the show the way it was in in this movie. Like this movie kind of did it the best, captured that friendship the best, I feel. But
Okay.
I think it's definitely one of the positives of the movie.
I kept on like remembering like Montgomery's. His name is Montgomery Scott, right?
Yes.
I kept on like thinking like how he's actually supposed to evolve from Simon Pegg,
Yeah.
and I just kept on thinking about that because all the characters are just so unique and different. And George Takei, he's
Okay.
become like such like an iconic character for equal rights that I'm just like it's weird to see them how they started off. Like this is why he is a very successful movie star right now, TV star. So it's kind of like uncovering like a hidden treasure that I'm just trying to take in.
So this is how it began. This is where they were before they were big. As
Right,
it were.
right, exactly.
Yeah. Going back to Mr. Scotty, as he's also known,
Yeah.
his appearance in the movies is very different than it was in the TV show. Like in the TV show, he had like darker hair. He had no mustache. He was thinner. In the movies, he's a bigger guy. He has a mustache. He's graying, obviously because he's older. But
Hmm.
the Simon Pegg version, I would say, more aligns to the TV show version. But even still, it's
Mm.
more. There's a lot of Simon Pegg in there versus the original character.
Yeah, and I like that it's the same characters, not the same actors, and that in the new one they kind of just like got very similar people, and they got like the age differences awesome because like Anton Yelchin, the late
Rest,
Anton Yelchin,
rest in peace, Anton.
um, like seeing how he could evolve into the guy in this one, I was like, that is, I could really see it. And obviously, they're not the same person, but I can totally see that in like a movie reality, how that would turn out to be.
So as they like grow older and they become that person, yeah.
Right. Because, I mean, this is like got to be one of the longest running Hollywood series out there. It went from TV to movies, and it's going back to TV now.
Yeah. It will be on CBS All Access, a new TV show, Star Trek Discovery, in this January. So I don't know of any others that have been as long and have crossed so many media platforms the way Star Trek
Yeah.
has. I know other TV shows have gone to film, have gone to TV shows again. Or for another example, like Doctor Who has been like a super long TV series as well, started in the 60s, but they had like a really long, almost 20-year break in the 90s and 2000s with no TV show being on. But Star Trek has been pretty consistent with everything. Anyway, let's going back to Star Trek V. What did you
Yeah.
think of the whole God storyline about the search for God?
I since I don't typically know what the antagonists typically are, I thought it was typical. But I wouldn't know what typical was, so it wasn't surprising. I'm like, okay, obviously it's not real God, some imposter. But I thought that the way that the Star Trek or the Enterprise crew handled it, I was like, that's the spirit. Because when they were like, why would God need a spaceship if he's
Oh
God?
my God, that is my quite possibly one of my favorite lines in all of Star Trek. Excuse
Oh, yeah?
me. Excuse me. What does God? What does God need with a starship? I mean,
Yeah.
this movie has like a lot of cheesiness, but I kind of like it for that. Like I rewatched it last week, in preparation for this podcast, and I hadn't seen it in a while. And you know, I know it's not great, but I enjoyed it. I mean, it's maybe more nostalgia, but the movie moves at a good pace. The story is interesting. I feel there's a lot of material there that the film can pull from for a good, interesting, moral sort of dilemma. And
Hmm.
I really enjoyed how like what they were trying to do. I think Shatner as a director is underrated. He's really great at creating a certain mood and atmosphere for his scenes. The musical score complements the idea when they're on that planet Shakari. There's a sense of wonder of like what's out there. What are we going to be finding? And it kind of sucks you in, even if the surroundings and the whys and hows aren't the greatest.
When the antagonist, or is he really an antagonist? He's an antagonist for the movie.
You talking about Cybok?
Yes.
Yeah, see, it's kind of an interesting case because compared to a lot of the other Star Trek films, you have a bad guy and he's the bad guy. You know, he's evil. He's the bad guy we need to stop. Star Trek V is kind of unique in that our central antagonist, he's not like an evil guy. Like, he's not committing violence against people. He's hijacking, but, you know, he's not, like, shooting people. He doesn't like the idea of violence. He's just really devoted to his faith and to his cause. And, like, the real ultimate villain here, as we learn, is the space entity that's pretending to be God who tricked him into finding him.
Yeah.
And
yeah, because when I first saw him, and halfway through the movie, I was like, he doesn't really seem that bad, and so I don't really feel like he was like a very powerful antagonist in this.
see, I think that's where one of the things that Star Trek on the TV shows I think do great is that when they're doing it right, they're the villains on the Star Trek shows. They aren't like mustache twirling, I'm going to destroy the world type of thing. There's like shades of gray to them. Like, you understand their reasonings. You understand, oh, okay. And Cybok is a good example of that gray, of that complexity that none of the other films really were able to touch on. It's unfortunate that this film kind of bombed critically and financially, for that matter, when it first came out. We're probably never going to get a villain like that again. It's unfortunate because I think there was a lot to mine, and I thought the actor did a great job in the role.
Yeah, he certainly did.
It was a little contrived that he was related to Spock, but I guess they felt they needed an emotional core, but whatever.
Yeah.
To going back a moment, the one thing that I also liked about this movie is that the main storyline of the crew trying to find God is such a Star Trek storyline.
Is it?
I think so. It's a perfect vehicle to tell that sort of storyline because many Star Trek episodes dealt with like false gods and everything, and like they come across an alien civilization and they're like, "Oh, we worship this thing," and the crew's like, "Oh no, we're going to tell you why he's not a god, and you are idiots for following him."
Yeah.
But like the idea of the search for God it's such a big question, and it's super ambitious. And having a Star Trek tell a story like that, I think would have been phenomenal. But it's unfortunate; it's really watered down. The production didn't really allow for it to take advantage of, I think, what Shatner really wanted to do. Rumor has it that in early versions of the script, when they found that creature at the end that said it was God, in reality it was supposed to be the devil, like the legit devil, horns and all. They decided, no, we don't want to go that far. We'll just have him be an evil alien that's imprisoned in that planet. I like the ambitiousness of the story they were trying to tell. Couple of fun facts for you. I don't have trivia for tonight.
Oh, geez, I would pretty much guaranteed fail it.
Well, here's your trivia, I guess.
Let's hear it.
This is interesting. So, originally, they wanted to cast Sean Connery as Cybok in the movie.
I could totally see that. I mean, they look pretty similar.
There's definitely a similarity going on, which I think Connery would have been. He would have been an interesting choice to have. Unfortunately, they couldn't get Sean Connery for whatever reason. But to I don't know, wink or reference the fact, the planet that they go to, Shakari, was a play on Sean Connery.
Yeah.
So there's your fun little fact for the day.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I read in the new one that J-Law. Did you read the trivia on that name? Her character was the Jennifer Lawrence in Winter's Bone.
I did hear that they used that, and they called her that as a play on J-Law.
Right. And I was like, oh, I wish I had seen that movie finally. Because I still haven't seen it, but I want to.
That was Jennifer Lawrence's first big claim to fame, I think. Mm. So, do you have anything else to say about Star Trek V, The Final Frontier? Should we sing Row, Row, Row Your Boat? I feel it's appropriate to sing that.
I'm going to have to pass on that one.
All right.
Maybe around a campfire.
Okay. And then
with some baked beans and some a toasted marshmallow.
A marshmallow. Marshmallow. That's what Spock called it.
A marshmallow?
Yeah. I believe I'm going to roast a marshmallow. He got the term wrong. And Dr. McCoy was laughing in his face.
So no, I don't think I have much to add to this. I'm still trying to grasp my head around the Star Trek universe.
So what's the next movie you're going to watch? What's the next one?
Well, next one I'm going to watch is 13 Hours. Because
that's not a Star Trek movie.
Well, it kind of is, right?
Are the Klingons in it?
Yeah, that's who they're battling.
Oh, okay. Man, maybe I should check it out.
It's John Krasinski versus Klingons.
I don't know. Compared to William Shatner versus God, I'm going to take William Shatner versus God over John Krasinski versus Klingons.
Yeah. No, I've been wanting to watch that one, and I still want to get through my Aliens, but then I think I'm just going to go pick at random. Maybe I'll watch a few Patrick Stewart ones and, completely mess up my logic of the Star Trek universe once again.
Okay, well, here's what I'm going to do. Next time I see you,
yeah,
which I don't know when that will be. Hopefully sooner rather than later. But
it'll be. You're going to get sick of us sooner than you miss us.
That may be. But in any event, the next time I see you, I'm going to let you borrow my Blu-ray copies of Star Trek 2, 3, and 4. They're in like one set, and the reason I say that is 2, 3, and 4 form a mini trilogy.
Okay.
And each one builds off the previous one. It's one of the reasons why I suggested we talk about Star Trek V is that it kind of stands alone on its own thing. The previous stuff doesn't really impact what happens in this one here. In fact, you can honestly skip number 5 and go straight to 6 and you won't miss anything at all. And those 2, 3, and 4 are probably the best of the original series movies.
Yeah. Okay.
They got a lot of good stuff in it. Very different from what you saw at Star Trek Beyond the other day.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Cool. I will look forward to it.
All right. But so let's see. Do you have we didn't do this at the beginning. Do you have any male crush of the week?
Oh yes. Did I? I'm sorry, I was caught off guard.
This is my bride's favorite part of every episode is your male crush of the week.
Yeah. And we usually do it at the beginning, and so I kind of passed over it.
Yeah. We got sidetracked.
Yeah. I don't know. You have not been watching anything, I would presume, right?
Not just repeats of things to like have some background noise. I've been a little busy the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Right, and perfectly excusable. But on my recently watched, I've been going through the Alien series because I'm getting very excited for the new Blade Runner coming up. Have I mentioned this before? That there's a new Blade Runner coming up?
I think you've mentioned it once or twice, yeah.
Yeah, Ridley Scott is directing it,
I
and
thought
so
he
he.
wasn't directing the new Blade Runner. I thought he was just producing and writing.
Well, he's having some role in it.
Yeah,
Um,
he's involved. Yeah.
right. And I just loved it, and I tried to watch Blade Runner the other week, and I was like, I have seen this so many times, and I just wanted something fresh, and I feel because I have so many like Blade Runner things like all around the place. Like I've got a Blade Runner tattoo that I see every time I look in the mirror. It's my background. The book is all the ways out, and so I'm just kind of want to refresh, even though I still love the universe. And so I realized that there's kind of this crossover between the Blade Runner universe and the Aliens universe, and so I decided to jump into Aliens because I got a box set, and it's like exactly what I was looking for because it's kind of Blade Runner in the aspect that it's like futuristic, and just it's still very different than it. Mm-hmm. So I want to jump through those.
Oh, before I forget, thank you again. I have to say, I'll say it live on the air because we're doing this live. For you being a groomsman, I really appreciate you and the rest of the wedding party that you've all done. You're all great.
Yeah,
everyone got along and it was fun.
Yeah,
and
made a lot of new friends too.
Yes, Brian and I could not have asked for anything better.
But yeah, we made a whole bunch of friends. But yeah, it was so much fun. I'm actually kind of disappointed that the whole experience is over because it's like, oh my gosh, that was awesome.
You got so blitzed at the wedding, which was great, Gorehound.
I was so over the top that I missed the gourmet donuts.
Yeah, we told you about that like the couple days later, and you're like, what?
To any of my coworkers who know how much I love donuts, for my last birthday there, they got me a giant donut for my birthday cake. That is how much I love donuts. I am part of the Friday Fun Donut Club.
I guess we should wrap this up. We haven't been talking about Star Trek for the past 20 minutes or so of this recording, so, whatever.
Okay. So, all right, well, I guess that concludes this edition of the All New Culture Cast, talking about Star Trek, the fifth
Trek
one,
5, The Final Frontier,
and other various Star Trek questions.
So. That should be a new feature on the show. If you continue to watch Star Trek, you ask, like, Nick, I have a Star Trek question.
Yeah, what's going on? I don't understand.
So...
Why is Patrick Stewart bald?
Well, because they haven't found the cure for baldness yet in the future. But so I guess we talked about briefly, very quickly, very, very quickly. We both saw Star Trek Beyond. In one sentence or less, what was your reaction to Star Trek Beyond?
Fantastic, but that's coming from a guy who knows nothing about Star Trek.
No, that's fine. That's just as a movie,
Yeah, I mean, 4 out of 5. I mean, well, actually, no. You can edit out as much as you want. After the movie, I realized it was very formulaic. I realized that I was predicting everything that was happening, and everything that I expected to happen did happen. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I really enjoyed it because, like I've mentioned in every podcast, all horror movies that I watch are 5 teens getting slaughtered in an environment. It's formulaic, but that's what I do. I watch the same movie over and over and over, just with
it's your thing.
People.
Yeah.
So formulaic is not a bad thing, but that's what I thought of this one.
Okay.
How about yourself?
I liked it. I wish I liked it more. I was kind of underwhelmed when I left the theater.
Yeah.
And it's nothing Star Trek. Like, all the Star Trek stuff in the movie was fine. It's just, the movie itself, I was just kind of underwhelmed by it. I don't know. I just felt like, oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
But I see this as being a movie that will grow on me over time, though. So hopefully that will be the case.
Mm-hmm.
So let's finish our episode with this, because this applies for everything. I've seen this said once before, and it's very true. So, Star Trek is like pizza. Even when it's bad, it's still pretty good.
All right, then.
That's my word of wisdom. So that's all I got.
All right. Well, until next week, we are the All New Culture Cast.
Good night, everybody. You've been listening to the All New Culture Cast, where every episode is all new. Check out our blog, Zach and Nick's Culturecast, at znculturecast.wordpress.com, and find us on social media. Send us an email at nick.culturecast@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your feedback, comments, and requests. Theme music by bensound.com. The All New Culturecast, a saltwater production, copyright 2016. For those of you local people who have never been to the Charlestown Mall in St. Charles, Illinois, don't go there because there's nothing there.
It is the weirdest place. It's empty except for like a Von Maur and a movie theater.
Yeah.
It feels so creepy in there. I feel like I shouldn't be in there whenever I'm walking around.
I know, right?
But dude, it has to be the best haunted house in October. But yeah, because all of the stores are just like out of business, and I don't know how it's not logical to me how the mall is still in business.
I don't know.
If they have a Von Maur and a movie theater. Yeah. I mean, the movie theater has great prices.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they're getting their revenue from.